Nearly 10 years ago, Ann Mopel organized a small group of men and women to begin an organization, EMADO, to bravely confront the cutting, otherwise known as female genital circumcision, that marks the passage to womanhood and eligibility for marriage in her Maasai culture. Her own near-death experience of the cutting in her own life led to a dream for a dormitory to provide safety for 100 girls. That dream has been slow to be realized as basic needs for an ever-increasing number of girls seeking safety have taken priority, in the midst of COVID and most recently a severe drought in their community in the Rift Valley of Kenya. However, as we enter 2023, Anne shares of God's blessing of this past year and her reasons for hope. School fees were provided for 200 girls, some of them living in school dorms, some at home, and others on the EMADO compound. Hunger resulting from the drought left some girls too weak to walk the long distances to school, vulnerable to young men offering rides in return for sexual favors, and pressure to be cut and married even at the young age of 10 or 12 years old. This resulted in the numbers on the EMADO compound burgeoning to almost 50. Efforts to find safe lodging elsewhere for this young girl were unsuccessful, so shortly before Christmas, similar to Joseph and Mary's plight in Bethlehem, a storeroom was turned into lodging for her and 2 other girls. Anne says, "We have no words of thanks for your generosity in November and December. Without that, we would not have made it. It was an exciting day to see the groceries arrive. EMADO has no vehicle, so groceries must be transported 28 miles on the back of a motorcycle. The daily menu includes a breakfast of tea, bread, and black coffee around 10 a.m., and then later in the day a meal of ugali, a type of corn porridge similar to grits, topped with a sauce of vegetables, kale, cabbage, carrots, and occasionally beans. It takes 25 pounds of cornmeal per meal to feed everyone on the compound. These girls are rejoicing over the first-time gift from the local government of 24 5-pound bags of cornmeal. In spite of the fact that none of the 60-plus livestock at EMADO survived the drought, 4 goats were purchased to add to Christmas dinner for the girls and the invited families. This was a time of celebrating what the girls had learned in an earlier training, and for the girls to wear new clothes which they made themselves from material EMADO purchased, and to share fun and food. It was also a time to deepen relationships, to help families understand the value of their daughters and plan for the next year. Anne is deeply appreciative of her committee of men and women committed to a better future for Maasai girls. As the earth begins to green again after a first rain, the committee finished raising the compound entrance and gate to prevent the water from flowing through the compound the way it did last season. Anne had additional milestones this year. She became the grandmother to a delightfully healthy boy. She was ordained as pastor and now is responsible for 9 churches. A one-time donor funded a new larger church building in the community that is also used for various events for the girls. In the midst of stresses resulting from COVID, the drought, and doubled food and transportation costs, Anne collapsed and was hospitalized for a day. However, she is re-energized that your generosity during these last 2 months. EMADO is more than a quarter of the way to the $15,000 needed to roof the first floor of her dream. This is in addition to the $4,900 needed monthly to cover food, transportation, and school fees for the girls. Education is the best immediate and long-term protection for a girl, and something greatly celebrated. Celestine, who some of you met in 2019, is honored here for completing secondary school. A single rainstorm revived hope in a parched land. Your gifts multiplied that hope exponentially. May God bless you in the same rich measure.